Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. And in this case, today's case, I'm bringing you some amazing leaders and learners. They are teaching and continue to educate themselves in the tech world. I know many of you are always curious about what it takes to make it in tech, what kind of tech you need for your business. Are tech conferences even for you? Which entrepreneurs should be using which platforms? There's so many different questions when it comes to technology. But the most important thing to understand is where there's questions, there is answers. And today we have some amazing guests that are putting on a pretty dope event. I've been watching this brand of conferences go on for a few minutes now. And let's just say it's growing and you do not want to miss the wave. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the founders of this amazing organization. Boris, Evan, hello. How are you guys today?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having us.
No, thank you for being here. I know you guys are busy getting ready for the big event. So let's go ahead and kick it off, founders, and let them know about your event. But before that, let them know about the organization and why you guys decided to start to work together to build this solution. I look at every entrepreneurial effort as a solution to a problem. So what was the problem and how did you guys get together to solve it?
I'll start there. Just having a collective that authentically understand the challenges you're going through, not just business challenges, but just like mental obstacles as a founder, right? Like you hear no's sometimes where you're like, is that no because of that, or is it because of something else? And just, shared experiences are, sometimes, there's different conversations for different rooms, candidly at times, and just being able to be in a safe space to really talk about those things was part for me. It was kind of lonely in the beginning of my journey. So if I had something like this around in the beginning, it would have been a great starting point. So just wanted to build a good starting point or a good reset button for founders in the space.
And the other thing I'd add on to that, am I coming through clearly, by the way?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add on to that is we also wanted to change the notion of who can be considered a tech founder and a tech entrepreneur. And we did this for two primary reasons. I think that the number one is when a tech founder walks into the room of investors and they're going to pitch, we want the investors, when they look at them, to see them as a founder. Because in most cases, they're like, oh, you're the marketing guy. Where's the CEO, right? That happens all the time, by the way, right? So we need to change that notion, because what happens is they look at them, they go, you don't look like the Harvard guy. You don't look like the Stanford guy. I don't think you're a good fit. We're not comfortable. Right. And that's real. I can give examples. I'm not going to get into it. And the second reason is because one of the largest, clientele in the tech industry would be major corporations. At some point you have to go in and you have to meet a CTO or a head of tech business development at a major corporation, and they have to look at you. And if you don't look the part, if they don't think you look the part, they're not going to get comfortable thinking about your tech solution being integrated into their tech platform. So we have to change hearts and minds for a lot of people out there, because right now when they think tech, they don't think about Black tech entrepreneurs.
So that was going to be my next question, because he mentioned it earlier. He said what a room full of people that look like him. So let's get into Black men talk tech. You didn't say all men talk tech. You didn't say young men talk tech. You said Black men talk tech. With that connotation, how do you attract those people that need to be in that room? Because just like you said a minute ago, sometimes they don't even know that they should be in that room. Sometimes they don't even feel like they belong, because maybe their endeavor isn't where they think it should be, right? Many of them launch and they're not sky high, so they just kind of stay in their little entrepreneurial bubble instead of being in that room where you're at. So talk to me about Black Men Talk Tech and how you bring the collective together in a way that lets them know you belong here.
Yeah. I mean, imposter syndrome is definitely a real thing,
Yes.
right? And we face it, along the way. I mean, I face it at times too, regardless of what we've done or haven't done. But especially when starting out, or even regardless of where you are on your journey, like sometimes you just kind of need to hit that reset button and be like, and give yourself that moment to be like, you deserve to be here in this room. And sometimes when you're building or fundraising, you're just having a lot of conversations where, like, if you just let your inner thoughts cripple you, and imposter syndrome, you can feel inferior, and you won't feel like you belong. And um being in a room full of people that are like, no, you're dope, you're awesome, you have this going on. So it's like, it's Black Men Talk Tech, yes, but we say it's really for everybody. It's for allies of the Black experience, and just understanding that that we're underdogs in this space. And but we have tremendous talents, and given the proper tools, we can shine in a lot, in greater numbers, where our representation in tech starts to look like the actual representation of Black men in this country.
Boris?
Yeah, I would say, listen, come to this year's conference. Evan hit on some good points. We're speaking from the Black experience, but our content is so good, everyone could benefit, right? But we sort of have an angle that we're trying to get to, which is, the angles and issues that are unique to Black men. But again, the content is great. When we initially came out with the conference, yeah, we wanted it to be focused specifically for the Black tech entrepreneurs, particularly dealing with these nuanced problems that Black men are dealing with, right? And I think last year changed that for us. When we were dealing with COVID, we saw how many Main Street businesses went out of business because they weren't open, and they didn't have tech solutions in place to keep operations up and running. And we're like, why not? And it turns out very simple tech solutions just don't fall on the radar screen of Main Street entrepreneurs, particularly a lot of Black Main Street entrepreneurs. So we partnered with a company called Bubble.io to help our community think through what are easy ways to build tech platforms without the need for code. Right. So that's one thing. So we want everyone to come and to look at that. The other thing is we want you to come and we want you to listen to some inspirational stories. All right, Bubble.io is going to be talking on that. A sister by the name of Nicole Bestman runs their Immerse program for people of color who want to learn how to build these not websites, but tech platforms without the need to code. A brother by the name of Georgia Z is going to talk about building his lease accounting software platform, Lease Query, which was funded by Goldman Sachs to the tune of $40 million, maybe about 2 years ago. And he is not a developer. He's not technical at all. He just saw a problem with his innate skill set, which was lease accounting. And he said, no one created a software for this. Let me go out and speak with some people. But he knew, as a Black founder, no one was going to fund him. So what did he have to do? He had to do things like limit his expenses to $36,000 a year, max out his 401k. So when it was time to pull on it, he'd have a lot of savings, right? So we're going to talk about nuanced issues that successful Black founders, tech founders had to do to sort of build out their platform. And again, he is not a developer. You don't have to be a developer. So we're trying to dispel that notion too. There's so many developers out there these days that you could do it without, having to develop yourself. So it's for everyone. Come and learn why.
So here's my question. You brought up this past year, you said, especially in COVID. So let's talk about that for a minute, right? It was a very performative year for people that say they support diversity in funding Black businesses, but did that really happen? And are you guys addressing that at all in this summit, and how to get around, even when the money is getting thrown around, it doesn't get thrown to us?
Yeah.
You want to take that, Boris?
No, you could go ahead. I'll go second. I'm fine.
It's a good question, right? It's like, are you trying to provide opportunity, or are you trying to be opportunistic, right? Like, what's the real goal?
Yes, that part.
And I think our community, traditionally, and I'm definitely not the first person to say this, is we're some of the most over mentored and underfunded individuals. So we get the grants, and we get the pitches, which we have, and these things are all great, but like, you know when do we not look when do we stop getting viewed as kind of like the charity case, or like kind of the nonprofit dollars, and like really start to see that there's real opportunity that exists in the community. um like I don't think, candidly, like, we had a moment after, the tragedy of George Floyd, but I think that was kind of just people putting a band-aid on the issue. um but the awareness is there, and the awareness is improving. So I will definitely say, like, to be fair, in conversations that we're having, at least it's at the forefront of conversations a little more. But I mean, we got a lot of work to do, right? Like, you still look at the numbers in venture capital. It's not like, oh, the 1% of Black founders got funded in 2019, 2020, and now in 2021 we're 10%. It's not like that, right? Like, the needle will slowly move, but I mean, we just need the continual success stories from Black Men Talk Tech, and then them, just got to build. We just got to build.
Yeah, and I would say, listen, on the business front, we've talked to organizations who come to us and say, we don't know where to start with regards to finding Black tech entrepreneurs. Can you help us? Last year, or for other organizations that are saying, listen, if the Black community doesn't know how to pitch us from an enterprise standpoint because they can't find the right points of contacts, I'm raising my hand. Come to my innovation event. So last year we had Department of Homeland Security talk about that exactly. They talked about their programs for new entrepreneurs and how we can get involved. And they searched us out specifically because they were targeting the Black community. Morgan Stanley did the same thing, right? So their head of tech business development, Sean Manahan, came on to talk about how they onboard new enterprise software providers. And it all starts at their innovation summit. And it starts with them meeting people when they're at the idea stage, building out their platform. So they wanted to come to our platform to talk about it, so everyone will understand. I would say one of the most things I'm excited about with the future is seeing a major technology venture fund. It's not an American fund, by the way. It's a Japanese fund with some senior African and Latin American investors. Take a look at what was going on last year and say, we need to start a process to understand how better to invest in Black and brown people, including Black and Latinos. So you saw SoftBank launch the Opportunity Fund, where they are, it's only $100 million. And they manage hundreds of billions, but they said with this 100 million that's coming from, LPs, we could figure out how to put our fingers into the tentacles of the Black and brown community, make this portfolio win, and then go out and raise billions of dollars because now we're experts and everyone knows that we're looking, right? And people are saying, oh, that's a tiny amount, 100 million for SoftBank. But, they would say, who else is doing that intentionally as we are, right? And he goes, and by the way, we're reaching out to LPs. We're making this a business. So we have to reach out to investors, and we have to get the investors to see. And this is the small seed we're using to grow into something big. Once we prove we can win. And they go, we believe we're going to win, and we believe going forward is going to be $1 billion fund. So what we're seeing is we're seeing them shame a lot of parts of the venture community into thinking a bit more conscientiously about it. The second thing I saw last year was a lot of LPs. So these LPs are limited partners. These are the people that fund institutions that fund venture capital funds, right? And they themselves, the LPs, were going out looking for Black first time or emerging Black venture capitalists to start their own funds. And I saw a lot of my friends who could never raise more than $5 to $10 million, and these guys came from fantastic venture capital backgrounds. They're raising 200 million, 100 million, 150 million, $75 million to launch their funds. And some of these funds are first-time funds. So that has been a treat to watch and a treat to see. Definitely a change. And most of them have a mandate to invest in Black and brown entrepreneurs. So, we'll see with time, but, are we starting to see some motion? Yes. Is it as much as we'd like to see? No.
Yeah, I feel that. So anybody that's listening that don't look like us, it is for everyone. What he is saying is what I was trying to get to, which is don't just be performative. Show up to opportunities like this. So you're not like the Wells Fargo CEO talking about you don't know where Black talent is hidden. It will be at this event. It's important that we are all in one room so that you can see the talent that you are possibly missing out on. So let me ask you this, for people that are confused and you're trying to raise money for this new venture capital or crowdfunding?
I think crowdfunding tends to be very helpful for people who are doing things that easily relate to the ordinary populace, right? So a bunch of smaller investors, hundreds of thousands on these crowdfunding sites. So when you introduce something that's a retail product that they know or that they could easily benefit from or that they easily understand, they tend to fund those products very well. When the products get more complicated, that's when it becomes a bit more difficult to raise on crowdfunding, and you would hope that some of the larger, more sophisticated investors would get on and invest, right? So like something that's let's say SpaceX or robotics based versus something that is more of a consumer retail based product. Having said that, I've seen a lot of my friends do very well on crowdfunding. Particularly women. Black women do exceptionally well on crowdfunding because they understand better than anyone else how to roll up their sleeves and how to do, the hard work that a lot of other people aren't willing to do when it comes to community gathering and getting people to focus on their raises. I think we're not in when you're an entrepreneur, you're not in a position to pick your funding sources. You are responsible for overturning every rock to make sure that your company has financial liquidity. So you got to go to the bank, you got to go to the local angel group. You have to go to the accelerator. So if you're in Miami, 500 Startups is a big accelerator here. But you can go these days because of COVID, accelerators are all virtual. A lot of them are. So there's no excuses if you're in Miami and there's only like one or two, right? There's a bunch of them. They're crowdfunding platforms, angel groups again, and venture capital groups. You have to overturn every rock and you have to pitch as hard as you can. So I can't, vote for one over the other. I would say go down every path and work it really hard. Everyone's experience is going to be different.
Yeah. Evan?
As to Boris's point, as somebody that's done both, I've raised from institutions and I've also done a crowdfunding campaign. I think you just have to candidly look at like what is your business, right? And like, is that business model something that is a venture-backed type of idea? Like, is this something that, if given X amount of dollars can go up 10 or 100X in valuation, or is this, just kind of more of a small business idea? But with that stated, venture-backed ideas can still be crowdfunded as well. I think it's just key to focus on like what is the use of the money. Like not all money is the same too, right? Like you shouldn't just be trying to get VC dollars just for the sake of getting them, because if that investor is not helpful to you, it doesn't really matter, and it's actually going to make it more difficult down the line because nobody's going to understand why that VC gave you money in the first place. So you should be seeking to raise capital from institutions for the sake of it actually being strategic to help you get to your next phase. So with crowdfunding, I think if you have more of a focus on just the capital, that's really all you need to kind of get to the next phase. Then it just, kind of coming from anybody. And then you want to support within your community. So like when I started the crowdfunding campaign, for me personally, I didn't just want other VCs to invest in our company and then they get wealthy. And then all the people that believed in me from the beginning just sit back and like clap, like that does nothing. But like auntie that like believed in me and was like, I ain't got much, but I got like $100, and then you turn that into like 10 bands for your aunt, like that's amazing. Like the millionaires will continue to be millionaires and some, but like if you could actually like like that's how we move the needle, you know. So I'm most excited about crowdfunding, not for like what it does for me as an entrepreneur, but for what it does for the community as a whole.
What have you guys learned about yourself putting this organization and these events together?
Man, that's an insightful one. I gotta go inside for a second.
Come through, Evan. I know you got it.
I think you know, just understanding like how tapped into the community we are. Like sometimes we just, you know, we're always trying to figure things out as founders, but sometimes when it's just like, all right, we got this platform, like can y'all help us? Can we come together for the sake of like a greater cause? Like, you know, we've had some really like amazing folks like come through for us over the years. You know, I myself in the mix, but I really credit Boris, AJ, the Black Women Talk Tech team for just being able to like put together, like we piece together things, like sometimes with a bunch of resources and sometimes with incredibly little, you know, things. So just the level of hustle, right? Like I think we all kind of turn on that founder switch that we, you know, once this conference is over, we put that energy back towards our businesses. But when it comes down to crunch time, like we all like really step up and apply the same things that make our businesses great towards this project collectively. So, you know, it continues to be a thing of magic.
You seem like kind of an introvert, Evan. Has something happened in this process to bring out the extrovert in you? Can you be a leader with an introverted personality? Talk to me about that.
I think I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm super social, but I'm just, you know, not over the top about it. But I think you can quietly lead, like, you know, as founders, like we can't do anything if we don't get like a team that believes in us. So if I was just loud and then like, but nobody followed what we were doing, like what will we have? So I think there's a healthy balance. I would say it's an introvert. It's like a quiet confidence, I guess. But
I love that. Boris, what have you learned about yourself in this process?
Yeah, you know, I think what I've learned about myself and about my teammates is that we're picking, you know, we are in the middle of, and we're brave enough to pick up this fight for equality, this fight for social justice, this fight for Martin Luther King's fight on economic justice, which is what he was trying to work on before he passed away. And we are, you know, I'm turning around and looking at like our small event when we initially started, and now looking at where we are. The events that we've done, the people that have came through, the people that want to work with us now, and the type of impact that we could create. I think we all hope that we could have got here, and we sort of did get here. And there are a lot of resources that people will want to put behind us, so we could continue, this fight that we're on. The biggest thing I've learned is that anyone could be impactful, right? You just gotta, you know, plan, put a good team together, and most importantly, get out there and start fighting.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. You know, what is one of the most dynamic things you remember happening at one of these conferences? Like, talk to the people and let them know, you know, what kind of experience they can expect.
I think, you know, what I tend to like is when you get an aha moment, right? From, you know, an investor or from an entrepreneur that really, you know, helps you to see a perspective you didn't see before. So I'll give you one example. Remember I told you there were some of these black venture capitalists that couldn't raise any money to save their lives, but they were probably some of the most talented people. I put William Crowder in that bucket. He's raised a ton of money now because of last year, but he would see his ex-colleagues raise $300 million and he just couldn't do it, you know, previously. And he would come and talk about his experience. And one of the greatest insights was what a white investor said about his a white venture capitalist and LP said about his thoughts on investing in black people. And he was like, listen, I'm not racist. I love black people. I just don't know where to find them. And my job is to make money. So like I don't care about this diversity fight. It's your battle. Figure out how to get on our radar screen, figure out how to raise money, figure out, how to let us know that we're missing out on a big opportunity. Because right now, I'm sitting a block away from the University of Stanford, and these white kids are coming in with applications, and they're all pretty good. And that's how I've been making my money. So when you figure out how you could let me know that I'm missing out on money, then I'll then look at doing something else. So it's getting these little insights into how people are thinking. That's very insightful and very helpful because it can help you position yourself when you're starting to talk to people out in the market.
Love that. Evan?
I mean, for me, I'm trying to think of like what would be the most impactful story. Like, I think about,
I like the Pedro story too. Like, the youngest, the least advanced company, winning the first pitch competition.
Yeah, no,
he was like a David in a field of Goliath. I actually told that kid not to come to the pitch competition.
I was thinking about Nasir's story, man. I was like, I just don't know if like to.
That's a great one, actually.
All right, so like I'll be a little more vague, but just like there's a massive VC fund that was able to have their round oversubscribed, and like some of the inception, like the beginning relationships to even form that in the first place, like were a result of our conference. And then to what Boris was bringing about, like the person who wasn't even going to show up, who won our pitch competition, like right after was able to connect with somebody at the conference who wasn't a black person, by the way. Like, so again, like people are like, I'm not a black male. Can I come? Anybody can come if you're an ally of the community and want to see it foster and grow. Was able to get some additional investments.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was Pedro getting. Yeah, I'll be frank about it. The Pedro team got some direction from an Asian American man who is a successful tech entrepreneur who's well connected to investors and well connected to a lot of wealthy black investors. And he was like, I like the kid that won that pitch competition. I want to help him out. So That was great. Can I give some additional insight into Nasir Quadri's fund, Zeal Capital? So at our first event, Nasir met a woman who attended our conference. She was president of the business school at Duke University the year after I went to the Fuqua School of Business. African-American woman, president of the student body, I should say. And she met with Nasir. They were both in DC, and they started to talk about building a venture fund. And she really helped him with like all the back office logistics and management portion of it, what he was missing. And good to say, 2 years later, they have a fund that's about $75 million in size. I think it's how much they raised right now. Yeah. So
I think they intended to raise like 50 and oversubscribed by like quite a bit. It was like upper 60s. Yeah.
And he makes it a point to say, I met my partner at Black Men Talk Tech, and I give you guys some credit for helping me, live out my dream. So.
Wow. So listen, good people out there. Don't be performative. If you say you're about diversity and inclusion and profit, raising money, going public, and all those cool things, learning new things, meeting new people, it just sounds like this is a win-win. I don't know. Am I wrong?
I think you're right. You're spot on.
I think I've enjoyed having you guys. I think I want to keep in touch. Do you want to tell the people anything about, Black Men Talk Tech, and then you got Black Women Talk Tech and students? Want to let them know what to look out for?
Yeah, so we are now trying to be more impactful, and we're getting into universities. We're starting with HBCUs, and we have Black Students Talk Tech. And where this is, it's reaching out to a lot of different students from different backgrounds to think about how to start their own companies and put them through, a learning session where we could learn more about them as they're problem solving, for how to create value in community through entrepreneurship and business, right? And how they can make their own businesses, etc. And when that process is over, we select who winners can be. We will then introduce them to major corporations that are interested in hiring on the STEM and tech track within their companies. So it was really important for us to chat with them on the entrepreneurship front, but this is going to be a gateway for them to learn a lot more about tech on a massive scale. And in the future, if they want to launch their own businesses, then hopefully they would have been on a fruitful training ground, and they would have taken in some learnings, and they would launch. That's what is coming up in the first quarter. Generally speaking, post first quarter, we have our Black Women Talk Tech conference. Just like Black Men Talk Tech, it focuses on the nuanced issues of women. But I attend that conference every year, so anyone could go, because these speakers, they're Black tech entrepreneurs and they're Black women executives, and they're completely brilliant. They'll blow your mind, so you want to show up. Same thing for our conference. Brilliant people are speaking. There's no monopoly on great ideas. So you want to come and you want to hear everyone give their ideas and insights, right? Because we're all trying to get better here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, let the people know how they can stay in touch, get in touch with you guys, stay in touch with the organization, or just, get some answers. Sometimes people just want to know who they can reach out to. Like, I got a thought, I got some questions.
The first step, go to our website, blackmentalktech.com. It's here on the screen, www.blackmentalktech.com. Sign up and register for our conference. There's a big registration link on the top of the page. There's also a registration link for our weekly newsletter. So you want to click on the weekly newsletter, so that way you get updates on us. You want to follow us on Twitter. You want to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And you want to do the same thing for Black Women Talk Tech as well.
Got it.
And one thing I wanted to add too there is, if you are in Miami, then we have some events for you tomorrow too. So tomorrow the 20th. So if you can hoop, bring your A game, and if you like to drink, we got some refreshments.
Oh,
go to our website to figure out how to get there. Registration link and all the in-person events will be there too.
I love that. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I hope we keep in touch. Keep me posted on all the great work that you guys are doing. And we look forward to hearing from you again.
Thank you.
All right. You guys take it easy. All right, guys. Another great session of Leaders and Learners. You will definitely learn something from these gentlemen, I promise. And it looks like, regardless if you are a man, woman, or child, there's an opportunity to stay connected to this organization. If you have a business, it needs technology. You will learn something. If you are looking to increase your entrepreneurial skills, there's an opportunity for you to learn something. That's why we are called Leaders and Learners. You can teach, you can learn. You're always going to have a great takeaway from us. So thank you for being here. We absolutely look forward to seeing you next time on another edition of Leaders and Learners. Take care.